Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and we have all been watching with great interest. Is there going to be an immigration bill this year? Congress has worked on it, then they said there's not going to be one, then there is going to be one. Texas Senator Ted Cruz just recently said the proposed one in the House is nothing more than an amnesty bill, and that resulted in hundreds, if not thousands, of phone calls going into the House switchboard and rejecting that idea. So what is it really up with immigration, and how dangerous is it if we were to go to a total amnesty of these illegal immigrants into our country? Huge issue, very controversial. I'm always honored to have with us Phyllis Schlafly, hold her in high regard. She's a champion in so many ways, a lawyer, conservative political analysis, author of several books, head of Eagle Forum, and I've had the chance and the high opportunity to meet with her on many occasions. And Phyllis, it's so nice to have you back. Are you snowed in this morning?
Hello, Perry. Well, I expect to be able to drive out of my house this afternoon, but I was snowed in for quite a number of days. Wow.
Well, our prayers are with you. Quite a storm. Well, you've been writing about this and this whole thing, the facing the reality about amnesty and the proposed immigration bill. Give us your thoughts on this.
Well, what I did was to gather all the polls on the subject. So it's not my opinion. It's the polls conducted by respected pollsters, lots of them. And I've posted a 30-page report on my website, eagleforum.org. And they are unanimous in saying that these immigrants, legal and illegal, coming in, don't really understand our country and will probably vote Democratic. In other words, the conclusion is it's suicide for the conservative movement and for the Republican Party. Now, we all know America is exceptional, but a lot of people don't realize how really unique we are. We have built the most freedom and the most prosperity of any country in the world, and we believe, conservatives believe, that that's because we have limited government. As Jefferson said, we bind them down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution. But the people coming in don't appreciate that. They have no experience with it. They live and come from big government countries. And so we find that they come in and they vote Democratic. I think a good example is the Boston bombers. They came in under a racket, lying about persecution, and came in under the asylum gimmick. And, of course, they showed that background checks are worthless because the government should have found out they were dangerous before they came in. And then they collected $100,000 in welfare benefits.
Wow.
So we don't want to just bring in more people to enhance the Democratic vote.
All right, so where do we go with this, Phyllis? Because, you know, what's so interesting is that there's a lot of argument back and forth, and it looks like the Republicans are slowly collapsing on this. And Ted Cruz, as I mentioned earlier, has said this is nothing more than a proposed amnesty bill, and there is pushback. Where do you think the American populace is on this?
Well, I think the American populace is totally against giving citizenship to illegal aliens. They've broken our law, and you give them citizenship, you give them a reward for the illegal action they took.
Right.
And I think Ted Cruz's statement was really inspired a lot more messages to congressmen from people who do not like amnesty. The American people don't want it. We think our border should be secured before we even discuss the subject. You know, I remember when you see things on TV, they kind of remain in your subconscious. And I remember seeing the picture of George W. Bush signing the secure fence law.
Right.
Yeah, but we never got it. And so we have a president who doesn't believe in enforcing laws he doesn't like he refused to support the DOMA law.
Right.
And I hope you all saw him on television saying he has a pen and he's going to use it when Congress doesn't do what he wants it to do. Well, the words were bad enough, but the way he looked and the way the autocratic way that he behaved when he did that was just really scary. It's not something that we can tolerate in a people of self-governing system.
Well, it seems to be on the shelf for at least for the moment. I don't know if it's one of these things that'll slide in at the last moment. And now that he has a phone and a pen and he seems to be governing through executive order, which now is a lawless act, do you think the president's up to just total amnesty on the illegal aliens?
Yes, I do. You've got two powerful lobbying groups. You have the Democrats who want the votes, and then you have the big business that wants the cheap labor. And everybody believes that jobs, unemployment, are our biggest issue at the present time. Why would we want to bring in millions more looking for jobs to take them away from American citizens? And that's what it amounts to. Now, Boehner has said he's going to not bring up amnesty for the rest of this year. And let me say that any form of so-called reform is amnesty.
Right.
It will ultimately mean citizenship and votes for the Democrats.
Okay, so we all agree on securing the borders. Do you think that
we agree, but the government isn't doing it.
Right. Big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
Let me flip over to just, it ties into this. It appears, Phyllis, that we have a lawless administration, that we have an imperialistic president. How in the world can we stop this president from governing through executive order? It seems to be totally unconstitutional, and yet there doesn't seem to be any fortitude anywhere to challenge it.
Well, that's because Obama has enjoyed the support of big mainstream media so much, no matter what he does. But I think the way we have to deal with this is the November election. And if we can elect 3 or 4 more conservative senators, we can stop what he's doing. Now, we can't pass any laws that he's going to veto, but we can stop his illegal actions. And so that's what we in Eagle Forum are devoting our time to elect 3 or 4 more conservative senators.
Do you think that if he was to use the pen through executive order on some form of massive amnesty, I mean, wouldn't be the capstone of his socialistic agenda and pretty much accomplish what he wants to do?
Yes, because he would. Yes, it would. And when he told Joe the plumber he wanted to spread the wealth around, it was a bigger threat than that. He even wants to spread the power around. He thinks it isn't fair that we're richer and more powerful than other countries, and he wants to bring us down to the level of other people. And we have a better system. And the people coming in from other countries don't understand that because they don't have a system like ours.
Right.
They don't even know what you're talking about when you talk about limited government. Now, these polls that I've assembled and collated on my website, eagleforum.org, are really unanimous in saying what the people coming in, what the immigrants are saying. And for example, one poll found that 2/3, 67% of native-born citizens believe our Constitution is a higher legal authority than international law, but only 1/3, or 37%, of naturalized citizens share that view. Well, the whole idea of taking the position that these international globalist busybodies should rank higher than the Constitution is just not acceptable to Americans.
Absolutely.
And yet I'm not giving you my opinion about what people think. I'm giving you the consistent report of all of these polls.
Well, let me...
Now, there's another poll that said that 81% of native-born Americans think our schools should teach students to be proud of being an American.
Right.
But only 50% of immigrants who've already become naturalized think that.
Staggering. All right, you can see all of these polls at eagleforum.org, and let me encourage you to go to her website and support what she's doing. Eagle Forum's been around a long time, doing a terrific job, and here we are in this election cycle, and I'm sure she can use your help and your support in the outreaches that Phyllis and her crew are involved in. Phyllis, thank you. We value your partnership greatly, and stay warm and stay at it.
All right. Well, that's hard, but we're going to do it.
Okay, thanks. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Phyllis Schlafly with us. All right, got more to come and open line a little bit later on. We want to hear from you in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Polina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact not only in our community, but around the world. It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, theDove.us.
Hi, we're back. Well, earlier our Polina talked with America's marriage doctor. Well, that's how she is noted. Jacqueline Del Rosario is talking to Polina, and they had a pretty interesting conversation. Let's join them.
Dr. Del Rosario, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being with us. First of all, tell us about your organization. What is it exactly that you do at Recapturing the Vision International?
Recapturing the Vision is a really multidimensional organization. We're about investing in people and teaching people to be successful in whatever area of life that they might be in. So a part of that is working with youth and children. We work with also families, married couples, couples that are struggling, single parents. In school districts, we establish programs that teach character development, morals and values, conflict resolution, just the whole package of creating an entire person that can compete in a global society. So we're investment programs dealing in human capital, teaching people how to be successful.
Well, wonderful. Let's talk about marriages today and how to make those successful. I've heard that you say that the typical American view of marriage is way different than what God intended it to be. So let's start with that. What, in your opinion, is God's vision for marriage?
Well, I think God's vision looks a little different than what we have learned of marriage from romanticizing it on television shows and movies. It's really not as much about the romance as it is about purpose, and as it is about love and meeting at a certain destination in our purpose and our destiny. So I think that God's purpose for marriage is to bring two people together that are going to work as life partners and that are also going to begin to birth into the universe a group of offspring that their perfect DNA was needed to bring about. And it's also about breathing into those new individuals your vision for life, your morals and values, and your purpose, in the kingdom of God.
Well, most of us start our marriages thinking that we have exactly that view, that everything is perfect and it's going to last for eternity, and yet so many marriages fail. Why is that? Why do so many couples get divorced or separated?
Well, I think it's because of the same things that we just began to talk about. People have the wrong conception of marriage. They don't understand what it takes to make one work. Listen, we're taught how to read and write in school. We're taught even how to drive, open a checking account. But we're not taught how to choose a suitable mate, how to make a marriage work, and we're not taught how to be parents. And those are two key areas of our life that are paramount importance, and we're just not educated. So I believe that there's nothing wrong with the institution of marriage. We just lack the relational skill sets to negotiate it. So that's what I'm here for. Through our University of Marriage, our Marriage University, and our Best Marriage Keys, and Recapturing the Vision, I'm teaching young people, I'm teaching married couples, I'm teaching people that are in the market looking to get married. What are the principles? What are those 7 pillars that you need to build a marriage that can go to distance? And then how do you maintain it and how do you keep it strong throughout the duration of your life?
Well, you have identified 10 records that lead to failed marriages. Can you walk us through some of them?
Well, there's so many different things. We know that some of us are going to be lucky enough or fortunate enough to choose a good mate, but that's just not enough. Once you get a good thing, you got to keep your good thing good and got to keep it going. So there's certain things that will wreck that relationship, such as just one simple one, unmet expectations. When we come to a marriage, we already have this visualization of what it is we're looking for out of that relationship. All too often, though, a lot of times we don't communicate our expectations. And then when they're unmet, we're disappointed and we're upset. And that can lead to a wrecked marriage. So unmet expectations, that's one.
What about continuing to grow? How important is that?
Well, that's extremely important because guess what? You're not the same person you were last year. And if I'm married to John, neither of us are the same people that we were when we first got married. I've been married for 24 years, and trust me, I've changed quite a bit. But it's evolutionary. Everybody's evolving and growing through our daily activities and daily experiences. And so we have to accept change, but we also have to make sure that we're changing for the better. And that as our mate is changing, that we're changing in a way that is harmonious, that we're changing and growing together for the better.
So if you have this kind of scientific approach to marriage, is there a formula on forgiveness, for example? Is there a formula of who comes first, who takes the blame, who says, I'm sorry?
Oh, I hope this doesn't get me in trouble, but I actually do have a couple of formulas for that. I believe that a lot of times people get into the tone. I believe whoever drew first blood bears a responsibility of bringing resolve and healing to the situation. So that means if I was a person that drew first blood that caused you to be upset or hurt, then the onus is on me to apologize. The onus is on me to make that right. And I think I also say, forget the tone and atone. So a lot of times the person that has been victimized, they're upset. And sometimes their tone might be a little off. And then the person that drew first blood might be concerned about their tone, and they kind of get lost in the situation worrying about their tone. Instead, let's worry about atoning for what we did wrong.
If only we can, the person who actually drew first blood could realize that he or she was the initial problem, because a lot of the time, you try to get into the root of the conflict, and it's the bottomless pit.
Well, it's not easy. It's not easy, but I think that if we have to, first of all, ask ourselves, are we trying to be right, or are we trying to resolve an issue? And so I think that when people become defensive, a lot of times it's either because of past wounds that they've suffered, or a lack of trust or fear, or it sometimes can be that, the whole issue's gotten convoluted and we're trying to be right instead of resolve, as I was mentioning. So I just think that there's a way to get to the root of a problem through just, sheer discussion, discussing the issue honestly and expressing, when you do this, I feel like, or this is what I'm looking for, and I'm just not sure how we can get there. What are your ideas?
Yeah, and probably picking the right time too, picking your battles. Maybe not doing it right at the heat of the conflict, but waiting a day or so to bring it up.
Absolutely.
Also, I wanted to ask you about, forgiveness, and then is it okay to sometimes walk away from the problem, having it unresolved, just for the sake of keeping peace?
That's a tricky question, so I'm going to answer it in several parts, okay? So if I'm having a conversation with you and I just decide to walk away, that's inappropriate. If I have not said, you know what, honey, let me cool off. Let me take some time to think about that. Is that okay? And then walk away from the relationship, from the conversation. It's improper to just, leave without having that little closure discussion about it. If I'm now saying that I need some time and I might want to calm down or cool off or just process, I don't know if you know it, but science shows that men take longer to process. So if I'm the woman and I'm talking to my husband, honey, you did so-and-so and it's really bothering me. A lot of times the man is listening, and it almost seems as if maybe he's not paying close enough attention because he's not responding in kind to you, because they take longer to process. A woman's brain has 3 to 5 language centers. A man has only 1 to 2. So there's a processing matter that might come into play. So I think that that's appropriate. If they need to process or think about it, give them time to do that, and then come back. And they might even, while they're cooling down and thinking it through, they might decide, this is really not that big of an issue. Maybe I was more involved in it or upset because of something that carry over from yesterday.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. The next day, I knew I had to talk to him about something, and I just can't remember what it was. Well,
I love what you're saying.
You've been called, and you're known as America's marriage doctor. You heal families. Have you had many fatal illnesses, so to speak? Like, do you have families that are just, the illness is incurable, you can't do anything with them?
I have had a couple that it looked as if I wasn't going to be able to address their problem in a way to resolve it, avoiding divorce for a while. And I work with them, say we would work together for a couple of months, and then they would, go on their own, then they'd come back a couple of months. But I found out that they actually worked it out anyways. What I find is that sometimes people aren't to the point where they're ready to follow instructions and do what they're being told to do. But I believe that if two people are really wanting to work something out, there's nothing that you can't solve if you just have the desire to work it out. And with that comes, I think, a dedication to the process of working it through. But so I find that if a couple does not, adhere to, suppose they have homework to do, I say, hey, I want you to come back for our next session. I want you to think about X, Y, and Z, and this is going to be our discussion. Have for me 2 points that you've kind of thought through in your responses. And they don't do that. Or I say, could you read this information? I think that shows a lack of commitment. And only in situations like that does it seem to take more time for the couple to find resolve. But I believe everybody can work something out.
Yeah, and there is always hope. Well, before we run out of time, I want to ask you if you can give an advice to a couple who's listening and watching right now, and whether it's Valentine's Day, whether it's birthday, those special occasions, they're special, and yet sometimes you may feel it's fake when somebody's asking you out, or he's doing it for just because everybody is. Well, a couple that is struggling right now, how can they celebrate that special occasion in honesty and with trust, and how can they rebuild that special something between them?
You said a mouthful.
I know.
Here's my first thought to couples everywhere. I would say when you find someone to love, recognize that it's a rare thing and it's a gift. Love with everything that you have. Love like you're loving for the first time. And also, don't wait until your relationship has problems. You maintain your car, you take it in for a tune-up every year. Do the same thing for your marriage. Always go to a marriage coach, a marriage counselor, just to deal with unresolved issues that might have taken place over the course of that year. I think that counseling or coaching, any type of marital intervention, even if it's a marriage session or seminar, do those things to maintain your good thing and keep it running well. And for those people that are looking for love, as we approach Valentine's Day, I would say, don't put everything on one day. You don't rise or fall whether someone buys you a bouquet or asks you out to dinner. We're to love every day as Jesus did. And I think that loving daily versus trying to save it all up for this one momentous demonstration is the better way to do it. Learn to love from your heart, and love regardless of faults or wrongs done.
Well, that's beautiful. Where can we get more information about what you do and maybe get in touch with you?
Well, you can go to my website. If you're trying to get in touch with me or develop a session with me, you can go to drjackie.com, and that's Jackie with a Q, JACQUIE. And if you're looking to do a marriage quiz, you want to find out if the person that you're with is a good mate, go and visit me at www.bestmarriagekeys.com. There's a free compatibility quiz, which is really 80% of the equation. If you're looking to get married, if you find someone that's compatible, you found a suitable mate. That's 80% of the equation of a healthy, happy marriage. So you can go there, you can take the quiz, and you can also find help for learning about how to do this thing called love and relationships.
Well, thank you, Dr. Del Rosario, and happy Valentine's to you.
Thank you. Listen, I'm wearing red. I'm so happy.
Well, all right, happy Valentine's Day. All right, coming up, we're going to have Bob Just with us, and we're going to open up the phone lines, and we want to hear from you. And the question is today, what do you think of the Medford teacher school strike? Maybe you have some thoughts, either side of the equation that you're on. Be nice. And if you have a solution to it, let us know. That and a whole lot more coming up.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. Compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. Well, today we're going to do something we haven't done in a while, and that's a little open line. But to start the conversation, we got Bob Just with us. And coming up a little bit later on, we want to hear from you. Maybe you want to join the conversation. If you do, the phone number is 541-776-5368. That's the local number, 541-776-5368. And if you're outside the immediate Medford area, you're listening up and down the coastline, watching on Roku or on Charter or Ashland HomeNet, wherever you may be watching the television side of things, give us a buzz, toll free, 1-800-373-5368. And coming up a little bit, We're going to open up the phone lines, and we want to hear from you. What do you think about what's going on with the Medford School District and the teacher strike? Maybe you have a solution to it, and maybe you have a comment about it. And we understand it can be a little heated and controversial. I'm not asking for you to do that. Just give us your thoughts, all right? That all coming up in just a few moments. But right now, a guy who's heated and controversial by just getting out of bed and putting his feet on the floor, Mr. Bob Just.
Good morning, Perry. Good morning, team.
How you doing, man?
How are you doing?
Good. Well, a lot going on. Hey, I got a simple question for you, and I mean this with respect. It's easy to be critical, and I don't want to do that. But can you tell me one thing that's come out of this administration that's been true?
Oh, you really know how to hurt a guy.
I mean, think about it.
Honestly,
everything that we've gotten out of this administration hasn't been true.
It's funny. I remember how we used to say, when we were doing the show, their lips are moving. I was joking partly, but now, honestly, I guess the expression is liars lie. And once you have this lack of trust that we have now, people roll their eyes at anything that's going on. The Fox News is used the phrase padding the numbers when it comes to the White House, saying they've got 3.3 million enrollees when really 10 to 25%, Perry, have not paid, and money is the issue. Remember, if they don't meet their nut, the insurance companies have to raise premiums, or here's the big or, bill the rest of us. Ask for a bailout from the American taxpayer. And that's where we're headed right now. All
right. Speaking of which, Boehner has collapsed on raising the debt ceiling. It was done very quickly, and a lot of Republicans signed on. A lot of didn't. I'm glad to find out that our own Republican Congressman Greg Walden said no to that.
Good.
But the only thing I can say is that why in the world did Boehner go on this one?
The only answer actually that I've heard to that is simply that it's strategic. Unfortunately, we're $17 trillion in debt and counting, and so, I'm not sure how much strategic is good, but the point is that right now the Democrats are on the ropes with all the lying and obfuscation, confusing the issue, and Obamacare, particularly Obamacare. The numbers on Obamacare you probably saw on Drudge, Perry, and Fox News poll, they're stunning. The people are just totally questioning Obamacare.
I heard that too, that the main reason that Speaker Boehner went ahead and did the debt ceiling, number one, they didn't want the Republicans to get tagged with shutting the government down again, and two, they wanted to keep the focus on Obamacare and maybe Benghazi and IRS. That's a tactical thing for the midterm election.
Yeah, I think about the IRS, although for me, Benghazi is a personal passion, as I know it is for you. It's such an outrage, there are hardly words for it. But the IRS is more vivid. In other words, people can get it and get it quickly. And when you have a hearing that goes on, as we were talking about the other day, when you have a hearing that goes on, and a Tea Party person, True the Vote lady, she was saying that she was fine until she applied for a nonprofit for True the Vote, and then got investigated 15 times by 4 different agencies. Yeah. And in that hearing, you have a Democrat say, "That's no proof." That's no. Yeah. We are living in la-la land with the Democratic Party now. So I think you're right. I think the IRS real issue, the corruption, really needs to be on the radar.
All right, Bob, look, let's get big picture for a moment here. It appears to me, granted, we're going into a midterm election. Taking control of the U.S. Senate is critical. Retaining the House is critical. And adding to those numbers, there's no question about it. Election is a big part of solving the problem. But now we are clearly in a constitutional crisis.
We are.
And we are clearly into a total lawlessness administration. I think Charles Krauthammer is correct. We're in a banana republic. And it's getting worse by the day. And there doesn't seem to be any responsibility by the other 3 branches of government to push back. We don't see anything coming out of the judiciary, probably because they won't, because they wait till the law gets there to see whether or not it's legal or not. But we don't see any pushback out of the House and the Senate. We are in a constitutional crisis in America with an administration that, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, is anti-American and anti-God. What do we do?
Well, I agree with you on what you just said. And for people who haven't been paying attention, that's a Republican leader and a little old me Democrat who both agree on what you just said. It's hard to describe what we're up against. The only thing I would say is the time to push back is in December 2014, or more specifically, actually, more accurately, January, February 2015, because we have to win in the Senate. Now is the time for work. Now is the time for donating. If you don't think you can affect your local election, find some election in another state where you can help a Tea Party candidate or a conservative candidate.
Yeah, right.
And so, but do something. We literally are in a situation, and Glenn Beck has said this, and others. We're in a situation where our grandchildren may be saying, "Grandpa, what did you do when the country, that our freedom was on the line in the early 21st century?"
Another part of this argument, Bob, is this. I want to say this carefully. I was thinking about it last night, how I would share this. And I'm not saying this is a thus saith the Lord, but a biblical thought came to me yesterday. Are you sitting down?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the story of Jonah?
You sure?
All right. So Jonah gets on the boat, and he's trying to escape, right?
Right.
What happens?
They hit a storm, and he realizes he's the guilty one.
All right, so the storm comes up, and it's a storm that's going to take everybody out.
Right.
Does that sound like what we're in? We got 49 states. Well, I mean, the weather is one thing. Got 49 states with snow in it. We're getting deluged with rain. So you can look at the weather pattern. That's one. But if you look at the storms in America, from Obamacare to the IRS scandal to the Benghazi scandal, the economy's in the tank, unemployment's through the roof, and the list goes on and on and on. We're in a storm. Why aren't we throwing this guy overboard? Why aren't we impeaching him?
Oh boy! Well, I hate to say the answer is simple, but it's not going to. A lot of people are not going to like it. It's just because he's the first African American president, and the public doesn't generally like impeachment, and he's an historic figure. Which, Perry, the sad thing, and I've said this on the Hannity show on Fox News, on the TV, Fox News channel, that what a shame, what a tragedy that the first African American president would be Barack Obama, a person who, I agree with you, is very uncomfortable with what America is, what real under God America. And it's a tragedy, but that's the reason I don't think you'll see an impeachment. What I'm hoping people will do is impeach the Democratic Party, because here's the big question. The Democratic Party is supporting this guy.
Boy,
what does that say about the whole party? They are shutting down their conscience and voting yes, 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 no problem here, no trouble here. Hey, investigate this lady 15 times by 4 different agencies. I don't see a problem. I don't see any proof. That's the modern Democratic Party. And Democrats listening now need to do everything not to vote Democrat and to tell their Democratic friends not to vote Democrat until we have a new leadership in the party.
All right. Do you
agree with that? I mean,
look
about Obama. I mean, do you think there's no real likelihood he'd be impeached? Don't you think?
I don't know. I think there is a turn in the country going on, and part of the turn is the big picture is that people believe that America is in trouble.
Right.
America in the whole is in trouble. This God-given gift to us of self-government, liberty, and freedom is in trouble. And even those who may support Obama, deep down in their gut, they have this gnawing feeling that something is wrong.
Really wrong.
And so on the back of the church, it's a spiritual crisis. And we are in a spiritual battle. I mean, there's no question about it. This is a spiritual battle, and it's played out in the political arena. But there's so many ways to blame and point fingers. I don't want to get involved in that. But are we moved toward the core of our spirit to fall on our faces before God and say, oh, God, forgive us. This is happening under our watch. We are the generation that will give account for this. We don't seem to be convicted to our soul and our spirit to say, God, forgive us for letting this happen. We don't seem to be engaged to do anything about it. We are struggling to get Christians to sign a petition to stop their tax dollars from killing babies. The list goes on and on and on. It seems like to me we don't get it deep in our spirit that we are accountable for this, and we are going to give an account for this.
You know, and it's true. God raised up, and you and I agree on this, I know. God raised up a generation of prophetic pastors in the 70s and 80s and 90s, you know, D. James Kennedy and many others, others. And some of them are still with us, thank God. Dr.
Dobson.
Dobson, not a pastor, but is of that generation. And they've been warning us, not for 5 years, not for 10 years. They've been warning us for 30 to 40 years. They've been warning us. And of course, you know what a big influence Dr. Kennedy was on me.
Right.
He did it many times over and over. We're blessed to have that generation of prophetic pastors, and now's our time to wake up. I tell you, Perry, we had a Concerned Fathers Against Crime meeting last night, and it was packed on Neighbor to Neighbor Project. And in other words, people are saying we're in a very dangerous mode. It's not a political gathering last night. It's a spiritual gathering, the need for fathership, but people are hungering for action of a righteous, Christ-centered kind.
Well, let us not forget the old saying, the power of the people is more powerful than the people in power.
Wow, that's true. You know, and this is the moment. This really is the moment.
Yeah.
And one other thing, if I can just speak spiritually, the Democratic Party has given over to the lie. And I do mean the party. I mean, not that's the rank-and-file Democrat. But what's happening is the leadership, as I said before, has given over its conscience. And consequently, they are putty in the hands of evil. And we're in a very dangerous mode. The Democratic Party has to turn away from the path of destruction that they've been going down for 40 years. Did you hear the president of Planned Parenthood?
Yes.
Was saying that Happy Valentine's, make abortion safe and legal. I mean, we've given up the ghost here. And if the Democratic Party has to wake up to the nature of perversion, and I mean in the largest sense, that they've come under, they're enthralled to.
Well, keep up the fight, buddy. Hang in there. Anxious to hear about how your meetings are going, getting concerned families fired up again and get going. Because I think in the long run, Bob, God has given you a vision, and He has given you now years of experience that what you're doing there in Grants Pass works.
Thank you, Perry.
And if other communities can get a hold of what God's given you to do, we can take control of a lot of things, and in particular, keeping our community safe. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Perry.
See you later. All right, we'll be right back. Open line. Hey, you got any thoughts about the school strike, one way or the other? And do you have any solutions? We'd like to hear from you. 541-776-5368 or online, toll free, 1-800-373-5368. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and on this Friday, this Valentine's Day, we're going to do a little open line, and maybe you have some thoughts or comments on some of the things that Bob and I discussed. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe you got some other things you'd like to mix in. Friday, it's your show, and in particular, we'd like to hear about your thoughts about what's going on with this. Really, it's a sad situation to see the Medford School District and the Teachers Union at odds. I don't care what side of the argument you're on. I do hope that you are praying for a peaceable resolve. This is very stressful on a community, very stressful on kids, and it can become very personal. And there's just a lot going on here. But maybe you got an idea. Maybe you have a thought. I don't know. I'd love to hear from you. I just ask that you be polite about it. And if you want to join us, 541-776-5368 is the local number. 541-776-5368, and then toll free. That's 1-800-373-5368, giving you a chance to kind of join the conversation and let us know what you're thinking. Well, Randy, you've been holding on for a long time. What's your thoughts?
Good morning. How are you today, Perry? You know, it's always fantastic to hear from Bob Jess. I love listening to that guy.
Good.
You know, we need more Christian men like him. But I've got one comment about the strike. And it fits this one here, and I think there's probably an answer in there, too, and that is it's a fantastic advertisement for Cascade Christian schools and other private and charter schools and homeschooling. That's all I've got to say about that.
All right. Well, there you go. Thank you, Randy.
You bet. Have a wonderful...
You too, bud. Stay dry. I have to tell you this from what I understand. I just been told through the grapevine that apparently those phones are ringing. Those phones are ringing. Anyway, 776-5368. 776-5368 is the local number, or toll free 1-800-373-5368. All right. Hi, Lucas. Thanks for waiting. What's on your mind about President Obama?
Well, I agree with you. He needs to be impeached. But the problem we have, it isn't just the whole Congress, the whole government is sold out. That's why nothing's going on. They're all sold out to this madness. I'm speechless.
Well, that's a broad statement, and I understand what you're saying. There are some true patriots in there that are working hard to fight back. But what you're also commenting on is what's reflected in the polls, and that is Congress still has an approval rating of what, 9% or something like that. It's horrible. And
I gave up on them in the late 60s, early 70s. They promise you all kinds of stuff, and you see when they get in office, they just lie through their teeth.
Well, let me ask you this: do you vote?
No.
Why?
No, I don't.
Why?
Did you ask why?
Yeah. Why don't you vote?
It's like the saying was, vote for the lesser of two evils. It means I have to vote for evil. Since way back when, since the late 60s, early 70s, there's nobody in there that inspires me to vote for. They're all a bunch of, I can't say categorically they all are, but the feeling I get is they're all sold out. They're all a bunch of liars.
Well, you got to look at our system, Lucas. Look at the big picture just for a moment, okay? We are, in spite of our problems, and we have a lot of them, and there's a lot of frustration and discouragement, we are still the best system on the face of the earth. We are a republic.
I've been wrestling with that since the late 60s and early 70s. I have to agree with you, Perry.
Okay, all right.
But that's not saying much for the world, is it?
Well, listen.
If we're the best, we talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the home of the land of the free and the brave, and the pledge of allegiance, with liberty and justice for all. I have never seen liberty and justice for all. Okay, it's a con. It's a lie. We're a lying country. Now, I'm not saying there aren't a few people. I think the reason that JFK got assassinated was because he wanted to get us out of Vietnam. And here's another big problem that we have today: the Federal Reserve. He wanted us to get us out of the Federal Reserve. You don't hear any journalists talk about what the Federal Reserve is and what a criminal action it is.
All right, but look, I would have to disagree with your fatalistic approach to being not doing anything, because unless you can come up with another system and an answer to the problem,
the other system, Yeshua or Jesus gave us the other system. And we can still pray. It says of Nebuchadnezzar, God. This is a mystery that I never been able to understand it. It says God setteth over them the basest of men, and I've seen that to be true. You look at the presidents from Nixon on.
Okay, I understand that, Lucas. I guess what I'm trying to ask you is this: have you given up on America?
No, I haven't given up on humanity. I've given up on American society, basically. Because look what same-sex marriage,
Okay, I get it. I don't have to go down the list of things. I know what the problems are. I talk about them all day long.
All right, exactly. Okay.
I'm more concerned with the fact that that you don't see a need to try to correct the best system on earth.
Well, I do, and I think the best way we can do it is through prayer. I think that's the best way we can do it.
All right, but then Jesus said, "You're going to do the works that I do. I put you here to do what I want. I'm going to do my work through you. I put you here to go do what I want you to do."
Yeah.
Praying is part of it, but involvement's the other part of it.
Well, all right, let's look at when he walked the planet Earth. How did he get involved? He spoke, he preached, he shared with people, and then he can see what he did with his life. They expected him to be a knight in shining armor on a white horse and to overthrow the Roman government. He didn't do that. And the Roman government is the government today. That's what it is. And voting.
So, all right. Voting, I think this is a little bit of an. I got to move on to some other calls, but let me just ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to find out where you're coming from. Do you evangelize?
Yes, I do.
How?
That's what I do with my life.
How?
I try to share with people what God has showed me and what I believe to be is true. And I find most people, their ears are hardened. Their heart is hardened. They don't want to hear it.
Okay. Thanks, Lucas.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. 776-5368 is the number. 776-5368. Maybe you'd like to join the conversation. And if you got any thoughts or comments, got a few moments left, or maybe what's going on with the Medford school strike, if you have any comments on that. Anyway, a little bit of an open line. The local number is 776-5368, and then the toll-free number is 1-800-373-5368. Both these calls kind of spark something, and I just want to comment on a little bit. First of all, let me say this about the school strike. I've received a lot of emails from both sides, and it's amazing what's happening. And I'm receiving emails primarily from Christians on both sides. And the problem that I'm sensing is this growing deep-seated anger and frustration. And I would hope that there could be genuine exercise of peace and getting along. I have to tell you, some of the tone of what I'm getting is not healthy. And I would hope that we could agree to disagree agreeably without being personal and nasty. So let's pray that this thing stays calmed down. And on Lucas's call, it's a little disturbing to me because, folks, we got a lot of problems. But God put us here in America with the best system on earth, and it works if we get involved. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go on to, I'm going to run out of time here. Ken, quickly go.
Very quickly, the last caller violated one of the basic rules of our political system. If you don't vote, you don't have the right to bitch.
Well, I was kind of leading there, but I was hoping he could draw his own conclusion.
I can say things you can't.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Ken. Let me squeeze in Sandy. Sandy, go ahead, quickly.
Hi, just go out and do something.
Well,
Go help a candidate. Find somebody who's running and give them time and money and prayer. And pray for Dr. Robinson. He's at the top of the party at the state of Oregon. He needs it.
Yeah, I've sat in that seat for a couple of years. I know that one.
You know how to...
Yeah. All right, thanks, Sandy.
Okay.
Bye. Is it Satilia? Am I saying that right? Is it Satilia? Are you there?
Satilia, yes, sir.
Okay, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great, nice to hear your voice again. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to respond to the last caller, not the lady, but Lucas.
Right.
Yes. I'm from a different country, and when he mentioned liberty and justice for all, in the history of the world, I don't think any other country has done more for the world when it comes to justice rather than America.
Amen. Hurry up, Lucas. I got 30 seconds.
Yes. What I'm saying is, listen, if you're listening, I want to encourage you, bro. Voting and believing the system that you have here in America is the best system ever.
Amen.
The reason why people are flooding this country is because of that system. I just wanted to say that. And God bless you. I want to encourage you to look a little deeper than the problem that you see in the political world here.
Thank you, brother. God bless you. Call in sooner next time. All right, we got to go. We'll see you on Monday.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us.